Hello everyone, and welcome to the Alchemical Mindset. Today we are going to break down this story of the prodigal son. This comes about because me and my daughter were having a conversation about parenting, and when we were talking about some of the worst types of parenting, I brought up this story of the prodigal son as a demonstration of one of the worst types of parenting, and this is one of the reasons why we have so many disconnects within our families, is because many people look at this story and the preceding stories of it and think that it is a great story for parenting. I understand what the story is trying to get across in the parable, but people have taken this on to be something that they do in their real life with their children, which makes them bad parents. Plain and simple, makes you a bad parent. Before we get too far into this video, I want to thank everybody who supports the channel, who they're your members, or you subscribe to the channel. Please hit that subscribe button. We want to get to 10,000 subscribers this year, so I thank you guys for being a part of that. Thank you for joining and becoming a subscriber and sharing the video. Now back to the story at hand. For those who may not know, the story of the prodigal son is a Hebrew story. It's a Jewish story written in the New Testament. Some scholars believe that the story came about because when it was written, the writers had in mind Proverbs 29:3, when it says that a wise, some to the favor of a wise child, a child who uses wisdom is a blessing or pleases his father, whereas one who does not squanders his wealth. One who consorts with harlots and whores, they squander their wealth. This story of the prodigal son could be from that could have been in the mindset when it was written, but as the story is in the New Testament, chapter 15 of Luke, it's the prodigal son starts at verse 11. But before that, it is a situation where you have Jesus is there eating with the tax collectors, and it's interesting. The tax collectors are always considered sinners. They're never good people. Like, to be a tax collector, you have to be a bad person. So it's like, who would ever accept this job? Evidently it was a well-paying job. But anyway, he's sitting there with the tax collectors and other sinners, and the Pharisees are like, look at this dude. He's chilling with sinners and tax collectors. All right, so Jesus begins to, in the story, Yeshua begins to tell them a few stories. The first one he tells them is about a lost sheep. That if a shepherd had 99 lost sheep, had 100 sheep, and 99 were safe and one wandered off, would he not leave the 99 and go get the one, and then rejoice with his friends when he come back and say, hey, I found my one sheep? Okay, that makes sense. I understand what you're saying. You're saying that if, I get what you're saying right there. Except for verse 11 of that one, when it says that, verse 7, when he says that, I tell you that in the same way, there will be more. This is what starts to mess this up. There will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not need to repent. We're going to get more into that when we get into the prodigal son story, but I want you to think about that. Just have that on your brain. That you could be doing right all your life. You could be following the love, the grace, the law, everything, all your life. But then here's the person who's been raping, murdering, killing, stealing, doing all these things. And then the last 6 months of their life, they repent. That there's going to be more celebration by your God than your lifetime of obedience and love and grace. I want you to think about that. This is the morality of your God. Now, this is why I will make this statement and stand behind it, and can easily stand behind it. I could write a more moral book than the Bible. I have more morality than the creation of this version of a God in the Christian Bible, Hebrew Bible, and the Quran. I can write a book with more morality, better morality than that, because guess what? I would never say, if your daughter is raped and she's not betrothed to another man, then she has to marry her rapist. I would never say that. I would never tell someone to go into a land and kill all the men, kill all the women, kill all the male children, but keep for yourselves the young females who have not known a man as brides. I would never tell anyone to go and kill the children. Just like right now, what did Israel say when they bombed the hell out of Palestine? Now, I'm not taking a side of Palestinians or Israelites, but it's the fact that Israelites said that the 10 children that died, they called them enemy combatants. They called them terrorists, insurgents, children. But this is the morality. So back to the story. Then he tells a story about a woman that she has 10 coins. She loses 1 coin. Will she not sweep and clean the house to find that 1 coin? And when she does she not go back and rejoice over it with her friends and whatnot? And hell, maybe she should just keep her house clean. How about that? Let's say in the same way, I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. At least in that one, he's not comparing it to people who've been doing right the whole time. But then we get into this prodigal son. Right? We get into this whole prodigal son story. In this prodigal son story, you got 2 sons. You got an older son and you got a younger son. Now, the older son, right? The older son, he's diligent. He's doing what his father asks of him. He's pleasing to his father. He's using the wisdom of his father. He's doing exactly as he has been taught as a Jewish man. To use wisdom, follow wisdom. To gain knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. To apply that. To not squander your wealth. To not sin. Basically, this man is not sinning. And he's doing right. The younger son, which we know, younger sons can sometimes be a little bit more spoiled. Hey, I'm the baby boy in my family, so I understand. The younger son says, nah, I can't wait for this old man to die. I need my money now. You know, he like, I went to see J.G. Wentworth. I went to get my money now. So he tells his father, look, can I have my money now? His father's like, you know what? Hard head got to make a soft behind. So he give him the money. Let him go. He goes out. He squanders it. He doesn't use his father's wisdom. He squanders his money. Evidently, his father was a rich man because his father got servants and all this kind of stuff. So his father was a rich man. He goes out and he loses. He squanders it. Now, how many times in our society have we seen, not just with rich people, but we see with middle class and on down, we see children of parents squandering whatever the parent has, whatever the parent has given them. They are squandering vehicles. They're squandering clothes. They're squandering their money. How many times have you seen children, they have a job. They're 16, 17, 18 years old. They get a job and all they do is spend every dime that they make. They don't contribute to the house, nor do they save their money or they do anything to uplift themselves, but they squander their money on a daily basis. And how many parents are actually trying to guide their children when they're doing this? Not many. This is why most of you and most of us, I never learned to save money because I wasn't taught anything about money when I was growing up. I was just, you know, when I had a job, I gave some to my mom and my grandmother because that's just how the family was. But the rest I squandered. Nobody told me about saving or investing or building a business or anything of that nature. So the father just lets his son go. He goes out and he squanders his money. Then he finds himself in a land where there's a famine, and after the famine, he's broke, right? He's broke, and he goes and gets a job, herding and feeding pigs. Now you have to understand this story is written by Jewish people or with Jewish people in mind. It was already one thing. You didn't eat the pig. The pig was a very unclean animal, but the pig was even more unclean because back in those time frames, the only group of people, when these stories are written, well, prior to these stories written, but the reason why the pig is such a horrid animal to the Jewish people is because after the Babylonian captivity in 534 and they were released, the primary enemy of that was written in the stories after that, the primary enemy was the Philistines. Now, in the 1800 BCEs, the 1500 BCEs, 1200, 1000, 500, 600 BCEs, the only group of people, archaeological evidence has shown that the only group of people that was eating pig on the norm were the Philistines. That was one of two big separations, one of two big ways of identifying a Philistine was the fact that they ate pig and that they were uncircumcised. Circumcision was happening with many other tribal people other than the Hebrews in the 500s. So when they wrote those stories, those Old Testament stories, The Philistines ate pigs and the Philistines were uncircumcised, which is why those stories of David talk about cutting off Philistine penises and bringing them these circumcised foreskins, and talked about them eating pigs all the time. This is why it became something against that. Now, the other reason it became against that, because the kingdom of Judah, who was at odds with the kingdom of Israel, the northern king of Israel. The northern king of Israel is the one that went into Babylonian captivity while the southern kingdom of Judah still existed. And they were saying that God was punishing them because the northern kingdom of Israel had began to eat pig. So they were being punished because of that. Because in towns like Megiddo, they have found bones, ancient pig bones and things of that nature. So the fact that he is working with the pig, feeding the pig, and is willing to eat what the pigs have to eat, is saying how low, how degrading, how he's degrading himself, how low he was, trying to show you the depth that he has fallen. That's why that's in the story. I know I went a long way to get to there, but in seeing that, the boy is like, oh hell nah, even if I could just eat what the pigs eat, I'd be happy. But then he realizes. And see, some people think that the boy truly repents, but I don't see him truly repenting. And this is one of the problems, which is making some of y'all piss poor parents. When you look at this story and you utilize this story, the boy doesn't truly repent. He just realizes that the servants of his father eat better than he does. That at the minimum, he's like, I don't have to put up with this. I come from money. I come from a father that got plenty. That his servants got bread, his servants got all kind of stuff. I don't have to deal with this. So he really still got this prideful mentality that I ain't got to deal with this. I'm going to go back to my father and be like, look, man, dude, I'm sorry. I messed up. I sinned against you. I sinned against your house. I sinned against heaven. He wrote a good speech. He was prepared with a good speech. How can I win my father over to at least let me be a servant so that I don't have to degrade myself by dealing with swine, and I don't have to degrade myself by eating what the pigs eat, or the fact that he wasn't really eating. So he picks himself up and he goes to meet his father with this prepared speech, not true repentance as it will be taught to you in doctrine, but he goes back. His father sees him before he can even get the whole speech out. His dad's like, hey man, you my son. That's cool. I don't have a problem with that. You my son. I have 3 children. I have 2 older girls and I have a boy. I have a man child. My girls call me all the time. That boy, I gotta call him. But hey, I'm just as bad. My mom called me today. I gotta call her back when it comes to stuff like that. But each one of my kids' college funds. The girls use their college fund to go to college. But if my son had came and said, look, I don't want to go to college. Can I just have my college? I see he was 17, 18. Can I just have my college fund? And I just want to go do what I want to do. No plan. Now, first of all, I would be a bad parent to just give my son his college fund without a plan. Without him saying, okay, Dad, what I want to do is I want to open up a convenience store. I want to open up a business, or I want to go use it as a down payment to buy a house, and I want to go to a technical school, or without a plan, I just give it to him. That's some piss poor parenting. That's not good parenting. That's what that father did. He just gave it to him. I wouldn't just give that to my son. Now, let's say I did give it to him though. Like I was the bad parent, bad father, and I gave it to him. And then my son goes out and he squanders every penny of it. He wastes the money, right? Having fun. He at Magic City with Lemon Pepper Lou. He having a good old time. He in Vegas every weekend. I see him out in California living the high life. That money just going out the door over and over and over and over again, right? And then he comes back home. He has a prepared speech. He's my son. All right, you can come back. I'm gonna love you. But this father goes and he tells the servants, quickly go get him a robe, go get him some, a ring, put some sandals on his feet. Go kill the fattest calf and we're going to celebrate. Sure. My son comes back. He's been through some stuff. I'm going to let him get dressed. I'm going to let him, look, clean himself up. I'll help him to clean himself up. We even celebrate. Call the family up. Hey, there's about 80 of us here in Atlanta. Call them up. We finna have a celebration. We having a barbecue. We having a little deal in the backyard. You know, my son, my boy, and I came back home. We finna have this party. I want y'all, everybody, to be there. Right? That's cool. You're celebrating your son coming back. Now, if my girls have done their college thing, and then my girls, they've taken over my popcorn company, they've taken over the cigar lounge, and they are running those businesses. Yeah, I'm gonna tell my girl. Here's the messed up thing: when the older boy finds out, oh, there's a celebration going on, comes in, what the hell's going on? One of the servants said, oh, your dad, your brother's back. You know, your dad and I killed a fat calf for him, and we just partying, we just celebrating. He pissed, and he's not going in. He's pissed, he's not going in, and I don't blame him. And a lot of ministers try to say he was prideful, and that's why he was going in. No, he wasn't prideful. He was hurt. This is what y'all can't see, and this is why some of y'all become bad parents. The older son wasn't prideful. He wasn't jealous or envious of the younger brother. He was hurt. Hurt in the words that the story is saying. He says that all these years I've been obedient to you, and you've never celebrated me. You never celebrated me. You didn't give me a goat to hang out with my friends and celebrate. Basically, you've never shown me the appreciation that you showing this joker. This joker squandered his wealth. Comes back. He hasn't shown anything. He hasn't demonstrated that he's sorrowful, that he's repented. That's the thing about the story. Y'all assume he's repented. There's nothing in the story that tells you that he repented. He just came home feeling bad because he was hungry. He was hungry. He knew he wanted to survive. So he came home to get some food. That's all he really wanted. Can I get a job and some food? That'd be like if my son did come, he'd come back and he's like, okay, can I just pop popcorn? Can I just sweep the floor in the cigar lounge? Right? And here's the thing. I would be a bad father to say, no, I'm going to make you vice president of operations. That's a piss poor parent. I'd be like, you know what? You ain't got to sweep the floor. You can manage the store. You can manage a cigar lounge. But you ain't getting in the corporate offices. I need to see what you're doing. I need to see your mindset before I do that. Yeah, I celebrated you coming back home. But I need to see, are you truly sorry? Do you truly realize what you have done? Have you changed anything about yourself? But y'all taking this story and y'all celebrate the child that abandoned you. You're celebrating the child that's not giving you attention, the child that disrupts you. I've seen this in many families where there's the one person who caused so much disruption in the family, and they go to jail, and then when they get out, everybody's celebrating. Or everybody's pouring all this love towards them, while the ones who are faithful to the family, the ones who's not creating issues, is the one that y'all you just expect them to be there. You just expect them to keep doing. You don't show them the appreciation that they deserve. You need to show appreciation to the one that's faithful to you. Let me give you something ridiculous. This is ridiculous, and none of y'all would do it. No one would accept it. And I know my videos are mostly watched by women. No, actually, on Facebook it's mostly watched by women. On YouTube it's mostly watched by men. So I'm still gonna give it this way. So let's say I was married right now, and I married a woman who was fulfilling all my desires. She is doing everything that I need in order to be happy with a mate. You know, she's the intimacy, the peace, the fun, the conversation, keeping herself up. She's doing everything I need. Now, prior to her, there were some exes. And these exes, they had everything, but then they said, nah, you know what, I can't deal with this, I don't want to do this, or I'm not going to keep doing whatever, I'm not going to do whatever it takes to make you happy. I'm just not me. And they leave. And I tell them, I said, well, you know, hey, sorry it didn't work out, but yeah, these are the things that I needed in order to be happy. And they leave. And then some time goes by. They go through some horrible relationships. And after going through some horrible relationships, they realize, you know what? All I had to do was these couple of simple things, and I could be living that high life with Larenzo. Let me get my act together. And they get their act together, and they start being the persons that I was looking for them to be, or that they were claiming that they were. And they come knock on my door. And I said, oh my gosh, look at you. You changed. You look good. You've done whatever the thing. You changed your behavior that caused us to not be together. Let's party. Let's be together. Let's celebrate. Let's go out on a date. Let's have a good time together. And then my wife comes in and be like, whoa, partner, I've been all of that for you. And you finna go take her out on a date? You finna go spend time with her? Babe, I'm coming right back. You've been with me. And you always gonna be with me. And I'm just so glad she made that change, you know? And we just gonna celebrate that. But you always with me. Is that acceptable? Hell no. You know that's not acceptable. You know it's not. And it's ridiculous. But that's how ridiculous this is. You have the child that's been down for you. 10 toes down. And yet you give more celebration, more love, more worry, more concern, more everything to this one who causes you heartache, who doesn't want to deal with you, or who doesn't want to be around you. The one who, squanders what you have created, what you have built. The one that doesn't really care as much about you as the one that stayed with you. Yeah, I know it's hard for a lot of parents to think about. That one child may not care for them as much as the other, but no one loves two people equally. That's just not happening. I don't care. We may love people differently, but not equally. But many people try to say that, oh, the older son was prideful, but no, he was hurt. He was hurt. And if my son came back and I just automatically give to him the same, give to him high level opportunities right off the bat without him proving that he's truly repented, how would that make my daughters feel? And the other part is, my daughters should feel that way, especially if I've never celebrated them. You see, according to the story, the older son has never been celebrated. So if the older son has never been celebrated, he is justifiably hurt. He is justifiably hurt. It'd be like you getting up into heaven. And I know, you get to heaven and you just walk in. Everybody just, hey James, hey Mary, hey Shaniqua, how you doing? All right, welcome. And you walk in, you're like, oh, heaven, I made it. And then all of a sudden you hear the music, ding, dun, 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 and everybody partying, whoa, going up, everything just partying, what? You get it? And everybody, what's going on, man? Who's about to come in? And you're like, y'all, Adolf Hitler coming in. He repented, y'all. He believed in Jesus. He did believe in Jesus. Adolf Hitler coming in, y'all. He repented. Like right before he died, he repented and everything. Ooh, yeah, we just throwing confetti and everything. I'll be standing there like, are you freaking kidding me? I was good. I didn't kill nobody. I ain't steal nothing. Are you serious? I was compassionate towards people. I showed love and care and consideration. And you celebrate, and you celebrating this fool like that? He the one should have got the you barely got by. You barely got by. That's the one. But that's how this story is. It's like the one who is faithful, the ones who are always faithful, who remain faithful, the least celebrated. And the sad part is that we do that as humans. That's why this story is written by people describing a God that acts like people, because that's what people do. That's what people do. The good, what we all of y'all can identify this. The good guy finishes last when it comes to relationship with women, because he's taken advantage of. The good girl is overlooked because you want the the fast trumpet and all that, and the girls want the bad guy, the thug. You see, that's ass backwards. And if we're raising our children to think this way and continue to think this way, we're raising some ass backwards as adults. And if you're not celebrating the children that are around you, the ones that have been down with you, the one that stuck by you, and you're giving more celebration to the one that treats you as far off as the other ones, then you're a piss poor ass parent, and you really need to change that. And if you're letting your child do destructive things that brings down the rest of the house, then you really need to reevaluate that entire situation. If my son started bringing down his mother's house, I would literally go to his mother's house and throw him out myself, and it ain't even my house, because I'd be damned if I'm gonna let my son do some mess like that. But my daughters, if they're building up, I'm giving them more, I'm celebrating them way more than I'm gonna celebrate the one who's destroying. And you gotta celebrate your children all the time, period. You gotta celebrate your mate all the time, period. Don't get into this groove, this rut of thinking that everything's going to just be okay and I'm just going to pray it away or meditate on it, or I'm going to light some damn candles, I'm going to talk to my ancestors, you know, about it. No, you got to put some action behind it. With no action, it means absolutely nothing, because what you do is the reality. So you got to do the reality. You got to put some effort in there, because your words don't mean nothing. But anyway, yeah, the Prodigal Son story, it's crap. It's crap. It needs to be retaught. It needs to be retaught. The doctrine of it should be something totally different. Yeah. You want your kids to you want people, I get that, you know, you want those to repent and come into the grace of God. I get that. But that's a horrible way of telling the story. That's a way of telling a story that lets you know that this story was written based on culture and not based on divine truth. It was written on culture, because I could have written a better story than that easily, which means that in our culture today, I can have a higher morality than the God that they created. Think about that for a minute. But y'all have a great day. Remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration.